So today I want to share with you the most effective manifestation technique that I have come across to date. And that is prioritizing being in a state of peace. There is an emotional frequency chart that you may have seen in this manifestation space. I'll put an image of it up on the screen. Here it's titled Vibrational Energy Chart, at least the one I'm looking at. And on this chart, you will see they list a variety of emotions. And beside each emotion, there's a number corresponding to that emotion, which indicates the frequency, the rate of vibration that is associated with that energy. And at the bottom of that list, you will see emotions such as shame, guilt, apathy, grief, and fear. And if you continue to read, you'll see above fear is desire. Now, keep that in mind because we're going to circle back around to that. If you continue, you see anger, pride, courage, neutrality. Now, understand that the higher up you go, the closer you get to vibrating at what would be described as your God frequency. So at the very top, you see enlightenment, which is the state of being completely aware in the present moment that you are God, that there is no distinction between you and the Father. I and the Father are one. It is having the Christ mind. It is having the mind of Buddha, right? It's being in this state of true awareness that you are God, everybody is God, you are one with everyone, you are one with everything. Everything is you and you are everything. This is what enlightenment would be. It is being perfectly aware that you created the world around you. It is having a sense of knowing that you are actively creating your reality because you are God. And so at the opposite end of that is a feeling of shame, which makes perfect sense because God would never be ashamed of anything. Why would you ever feel shame or guilt about any situation or any circumstance if you are perfectly aware that you created it? You created the world you're in, the reality you're in, the circumstance that you experience, the laws of cause and effect that determine the outcome of that circumstance that you are now actively feeling guilty and ashamed of. It would be the equivalent of designing a game, a video game, determining all the parameters for that game, knowing that if you do X, Y happens, and then being the master coder of it all, doing X, and then Y happens, you feeling bad about it. It doesn't make any sense. And so that is why emotions like shame and guilt are on the opposite end of the spectrum of having complete awareness that you are, in fact, one with the infinite intelligence, the world, the universe. Well, I want you to take a look at a couple of things. Things that really hit home for me. Notice where desire is on this list. Desire is actually below anger. It is below pride. It's below neutrality. Desire is, of course, wanting something. It's acknowledging that you lack something, that there is something that you do not possess, and you want it. You feel as if there is a part of you that will be more fulfilled once you receive it. This is what it is to desire. And so when you think about the way that a lot of us approach manifestation, the reason why a lot of people do not end up manifesting the things that they desire is precisely because these are things they desire. They are in an energetic state of lack. They are in an energetic state of confessing to the universe, revealing that they believe that there is something that they do not already have possession of that they need in order to be more fulfilled. However, another principle that is very commonly expressed in the manifestation space is that you attract what you are, and you are what you think about. So, in other words, you attract what you think about. And I can prove to you that you are what you think about. I ask you this: if your conscious mind were to be completely destroyed and eliminated, that is your ability to be aware of yourself and your surroundings, to know that you are, to know that you exist, your point of awareness exists. Do you even exist? I think, therefore I am. If you were reduced to a vegetable, meaning you're just a flesh suit with a bunch of organs, maybe you're on life support, and so your physical body is being kept alive, but you are completely fucking gone, dude. Wouldn't you want them to pull the plug? In fact, the only instance in which you would want to remain on life support at that point is if there is a reasonable enough likelihood that you will regain consciousness, that you will come out of your vegetative state, come out of your coma. But if any of us were to fall into a coma and we knew without a shadow of a doubt that we would never wake up out of that coma, and let us assume that when you are in a state of comatose, you are completely lights out. If you've ever been put under anesthesia, then I imagine it's something like that. Although I guess none of us truly know where our mind goes or what it's doing when you are put to sleep like that. But let's assume that it is just black. But it's not even black, because blackness suggests that there is still some level of awareness that is perceiving the blackness. We're talking like you didn't even fucking exist. Would you want to continue to live at that point? Would you want them to keep you on life support if that was going to be the perpetual rest of your existence? I mean, as far as I would be concerned, at that point, I'm already dead. And I think more than likely you would agree with me. And so you are your mind. You are your thoughts. You are your consciousness, your subconsciousness, and your consciousness. I think, therefore I am. And so we attract what we are. That is synonymous with we attract what we think. And so if you are thinking in a way that is desirous of something, that means you're in an energetic state of desiring. That is what you are. Well, then you will attract what you are, what you think about. You will attract the more of us being in a state of desiring. It is really a state of lack. It is really a state of not having, which is why in the manifestation space, you will often hear to assume the state of the reality which you wish to occupy. Live from the end, live from the wish fulfilled. All these terms are saying the same thing. Act as if you already have it, but in a genuine sense. Really, this is why some people will go as far as to describe this as entering a state of delusion, because you are moving as if the reality that you wish to occupy, you're already occupying it. It's not visible in the external world, in the physical world, in 3D, And so to other people, you seem crazy. Of course, you don't need to broadcast to the world that that's what you're doing. But if you did, people would say that you're delusional. Most people, of course, people like us who understand the spiritual aspect of our reality, it makes perfect sense to us. Okay, so the reason why most people do not manifest the things that they desire is because they desire it. They're in a state of desire. So I've come to the understanding that the best life that I can live, and that I believe anybody can live, but I can only speak for myself, and maybe it resonates with you, maybe it doesn't, but if it does, follow along with me. I have come to the understanding that the best life that I could live is one of peace. It's one of perfect peace. Now, let's actually take a look at the definition of the word peace. Now, according to the dictionary, the word peace means freedom from disturbance, tranquility, mental calm, and serenity. We, for the most part, have all experienced peace. Maybe at times we haven't been as very conscious of it, but when you are in that state of tranquility and contentment and satisfaction and peace, well, honestly, there is no greater feeling than that. And so I've realized that the best approach to manifestation for me is to prioritize maintaining a state of emotional peace. And it shouldn't be surprising that the historic figures that are synonymous with enlightenment, such as the Buddha, such as Jesus, these are characters that are synonymous with being in a state of Zen, being in a state of peace. Imagine a life where you were always at peace, not just mentally, but a reality that is in alignment with that, where nothing ever happens to take you out of that state of peace, where everything in your life is just a positive feedback loop of peace. Think about the implications of that. Think about what your financial situation would have to be for you to be in a state of peace. Think about what your relationship with your spouse, with your children, with your friends, with your community. Think about just every aspect of your life, what it would have to look like for you to be at a state of peace. This is the power of manifestation. This is not just me saying, okay, assume a state of peace and then that's it. Your life could be falling apart. You could be experiencing hell on earth, but the real goal is to just, no matter what's going on, hold that peace. This was the way how I conceptualized this concept of peace many years ago when I experimented with Buddhism, Zen Buddhism. It was this idea of, despite what is going on around you, you be at perfect peace. I am reminded of the imagery of I think it was a Buddhist monk that set himself on fire, or the monks that can lay on a bed of nails and fall asleep. It's this idea of, no matter what is going on in the external, you are able to maintain a state of peace. And that sounds cool, that sounds powerful, but I realize now that this is still an imperfect understanding of the reality in which we live in. It is still acknowledging a degree of separation between you and the world around you. It is still saying that you, the individual, must learn how to be at peace despite the world around you being in a state of chaos. But what I have come to understand is that there is no separation between you and the world around you. If you are truly in a state of peace mentally and understanding that your reality, which does consist of the world around you, it is a part of your reality, is shaped by your mind. It is a reflection of your subconscious and conscious mind. Then if you hold a state of peace in your mind, then the world around you, the physical world around you, must also reflect that. And so when you say to yourself, okay, I want to manifest a large YouTube channel. I want to have 1 million subscribers. I want $1 million. I want to drive a Ferrari. I want to live in a mansion. You say all these things. You're really in a state of desire. You're really acknowledging that you don't already have those things. However, when you're in a state of peace, then the universe must then conform to that state of peace, and the various things in your life, your financial situation, your relationships, your career, all those things must then assume a state, be conformed to reflecting an individual that has a peaceful life. Now, here's the thing. Maybe a peaceful life for you, a state of perfect peace, isn't a life where you have $1 million in the bank. Maybe it's not a life where you're married. Maybe it's not a life where you have the biggest YouTube channel in the world. Think about that. If you get what you are, if you manifest what you think about, and you focus on being at peace, and you don't get 1 million subscribers or 10 million subscribers, what that is saying is that for you individually, for whatever reason, that 1 million subscribers is actually not in alignment with you being at perfect peace, at least not right now. This is also, I've noticed, the key to being perfectly detached from the outcome. Now, don't get me wrong, guys. Since practicing this, every aspect of my life has been getting better. I run multiple other YouTube channels. They have been growing. They've been making more money. My relationships with my friends and family have been getting better. My physical body, I've been seeing improvements in my body's health. So don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that good things won't happen, amazing things. I'm not saying amazing things won't happen. And I'm not saying that a life of perfect peace isn't one where you are wealthy. I think, personally, that a life of perfect peace in the world that we live in is one that does require a degree of financial freedom, because we live in a world where money is the tool that gets shit done. But also, if you enter into a reality where you never worry about money, where everything that you desire to obtain, like everything that you feel your heart wanting, you can afford. If that state is not synonymous with you being a millionaire, maybe it's synonymous with you making $200,000 a year. But because of the state of mind, the energetic state that you are in, bad shit doesn't happen as much. Your shit doesn't break that much in your life. Your car doesn't break down. You don't really need to fix things in the house. Things just keep working for you. That's just your experience of life. Also, your desire, you find yourself not longing to drive a Lamborghini or buying a $500,000 watch or wearing a really expensive designer clothes. You find yourself not getting sick. And so you don't need ridiculous amounts of money to pay for hospital bills. You also find that the people in your life that you care about and love, they're also good. Good things start happening to them to where they don't even need you to be wealthy to help them out because they are also experiencing abundance in their life. All because you chose to assume a state of peace. At that point, does it really matter if you have $1 million, if you're a millionaire? You get everything you want. You can afford the life that you desire. And the things that are outside your budget, you genuinely in your heart don't want them. You don't desire them. You don't care for them. You look at a Lamborghini and you can appreciate it and you say, oh, that's cool, but I don't really want a Lamborghini. Like, I'm good. I'm good driving my BMW. I'm good driving my Mercedes. I'm good driving my Honda, whatever it ends up being. Essentially, you get to a place when you focus on being at peace. You get to a place where you allow the universe to give you a perfect life. And this is not a life where you don't want things. It's just that you only want things that are in alignment with you being at peace. So you still have to follow your intuition. That's why I'm not saying this is not the same as the Buddhist concept of, being at peace where, the perfect life, spiritual life is where you go off into a mountain and you have no family and you have no friends and you just meditate all day. Fuck that. That shit sounds like ass. At least for me. Maybe for somebody else, that is what a perfect life of peace looks like. And so if they start focusing on being at peace, that's where life will lead them. But for other people, a life of perfect peace does look like you're a billionaire. And you end up using that money to do amazing things for yourself, your family, and the world around you. For some people, it looks like having a nice house in a suburban community, driving a decent, reliable, nice, but not overly expensive car. Some people, that looks like being the top at the top of an industry. For some people, that looks like having a regular job, but just waking up every day excited to go to work because you really love what you do. But all the bills are paid. You're not dying from some illness. There isn't tragedy in your life. You're at peace. It's hard to be at peace when your children are dying. And so the universe will give you what you are if you focus on peace. And again, I am a YouTuber. And I don't just mean this channel. I started this channel to share my spiritual insights with the world. However, I have other YouTube channels that I run. And I genuinely want to make those YouTube videos. I enjoy making those videos. I don't feel like I'm forcing it. I don't see it as this thing that I need to accomplish for any external reason or external validation. I genuinely want that. Like, I genuinely enjoy it. Like, I focus on being in a state of peace and I feel inspired and compelled to continue to build those YouTube channels and make those YouTube videos. that is evidence that the version of me that is at perfect peace is a version of me that makes these YouTube videos. And so when you focus on peace, you'll also be led to your life purpose. You'll be led to the perfect career for you. You'll be led to the perfect romantic situation for you. See, when you focus on peace, let's take romance, for instance. Let's say right now you're in a lower frequency, you're in a state of desire. You want a wife, you want a girlfriend. And the reason you want one in a state of desire is because you feel inadequate because you don't have it. And so you're in a state of scarcity, you're in a state of lack, you're in the state of desire. But if you focus on being in a state of peace, well, suddenly you're good in your current situation. But then you might find yourself still longing for a partner, but it's not this desperate, hungry kind of longing. It's the idea of being with somebody else still appeals to you. But all the desperation that you might be feeling now that's causing you to pay a ton of money and swiping all night on Tinder and cold approaching every girl you see and you're shooting desperate shots and feeling like, oh, I gotta go out to the mall. I gotta go out to the club, even though I don't really want to because I gotta put myself out there. How else am I gonna run into her? All that desperate energy will be gone. And you're like, yeah, I want this. That's something that appeals to me, but I'm good with it. I'm good without it. I'm good right now. Well, it's when you get in that state that one day somebody is going to invite you, hey, you want to go to the beach? Hey, me and some of the guys, we're going to the beach. You should come. And it's just going to sound appealing to you. It's just going to be like, yeah, going to the beach, that sounds like a good time. And you go to the beach and you're there at the beach and you're throwing frisbees with your boys. And then the frisbee gets caught in the wind and lands at this chick's foot. And you go up to her and she's like, oh, hey, can I, oh, me and my girlfriends are here. Let's play with you. They join in, whatever the fuck. Y'all put your shits together, your umbrellas together, your towels together, and y'all are talking and everything's just clicking and vibing. And you're like, man, this girl's kind of cute, And she's giving you good energy. And then you go and you ask her for her number and say, oh man, we should hang out sometime. And then, you text her and then you already know where I'm going with this story, bro. Fucking 10 years later, y'all are married with kids. But that only came because you were in a state of peace. If you were still in a state of desire, well then, maybe you would have blown off going to the beach because you already had plans of going to the club or the mall later that night because you think you have a higher likelihood of running into a girl there. See, again, you're too attached to the idea of making it happen. It's too much effort. And so you blow off going to the beach, you end up going to the club and you shoot your shot at some girl, she turns you down, you feel disappointed. Now you have even more negative energy. You are what you think, you attract more negativity into your life. You continue to repeat that cycle for another 6 months, and then you make a YouTube video talking about how manifestation is bullshit and it doesn't work. Which is why, personally, I don't completely disagree with the idea of manifesting specific things, right? Like, oh, how to manifest your special person, how to manifest your girl or friend, or manifest this dream job, or manifest, and living from the state of the wish fulfilled. And so you imagine yourself driving a Lamborghini because you want a Lamborghini, and you're like, okay, if I just every day I'm in my car my hoopty and I just imagine it's a Lamborghini. One day it'll be a Lamborghini. I'm not necessarily against that idea, that conceptualization. I just tweak it. I just imagine myself, I'm at peace. You know what I'm saying? Like if I imagine myself driving a Lamborghini, it's not because I want this car to be a Lamborghini. It's just that for whatever reason, I have in my head the idea that I would be happier. I would be more at peace if I was driving a Lamborghini instead of a beat up hoopty. And so I use my imagination to imagine it's a Lamborghini, not because I am actively trying to bring that Lamborghini into my physical reality, but just so that I can enter into a state of peace mentally. And just be like, shit, this is just as good as driving a Lamborghini. You see the difference? So I'm not discouraging you from having, practicing visualization or having specific things that you desire. Just be very conscious of the energy, the energetic state in which you are desiring it. You don't want to desire it from a place of desperation. You don't want to desire it from a place of where you need it to be this way. Or rather, you don't want to visualize it from that place. That's why Neville Goddard talks about how the feeling is what matters. What you feel like. And ultimately, when you boil it all down, it's being at peace. Because that's the emotion that you have whenever you obtain anything. Think about it. When you're hungry and you get food and you eat and you're satiated, you're at a state of peace. You're not hungry anymore. You're good. When you have a upcoming bill and the money appears, the money that you didn't really see how that money was going to come through, the money comes and like, okay, I got the money to pay for that thing now. I'm good. You're in a state of peace. You're not worrying about it. Well, that's really what it means to live from the state of the wish fulfilled. You're just at peace. You're good. Because think of the things that you have, right? Like I have an iPhone. Once upon a time, I couldn't afford an iPhone. Once upon a time, I was a kid and I had to have a booty garbage phone, right? And then I've had iPhones for over 10 years now, right? It's not an incredibly hard thing to achieve. But I have an iPhone and this iPhone doesn't make me happy. It doesn't put me in a state of joy. I'm not in a state of bliss or excitement. I'm not even consciously thinking about the iPhone on a regular basis. But I do appreciate that I have this iPhone instead of some booty, terrible phone. And I'm in a state of peace, knowing, yeah, I got a good phone. It's there when I need it. It's reliable. It does exactly what I need it and want it to do. And so that's the state of contentment. That's the state of peace. And that's really the state you enter when you have anything. Anything you desire, when you think about it, maybe there is joy and excitement initially. But when you really think about your possessions, the things that you've had for a while, the things that you've gotten used to, that's the only emotion you have in regards to it. If it's something that you actively use and appreciate and, it's really just maybe gratitude and peace. And those are the two emotions that in the manifestation space, you're constantly told to focus on. Gratitude and peace. And so if you're driving your car and you focus on being in a state of peace, and when you employ your imagination, if that looks like you driving a BMW or some other nice luxury car, that's fine, that's good. But just understand, maybe when your physical reality, when the 3D finally reflects that to you, maybe it isn't the car you were imagining, envisioning. Maybe it's a different car. But whatever car it is, it will be a car that reflects you being at peace. Maybe that ends up being some kind of crazy, sick fucking sports car. Or maybe it's just a nice car. You know what I'm saying? And so that's the key. Ever since I've applied this, things just keep getting better and better. And the beautiful thing about it, it's complete freedom, man. There is no more anxiety about, am I manifesting right? Am I visualizing right? Am I desiring things from a desperate energy? Am I trying to bring things into the physical, into the 3D from a place of desperation, or is it coming from a place of, the right kind of energy that can actually attract it to me? There's no more trying to worry about that. And life becomes a surprise. I didn't know that I was going to make this YouTube channel and start making these videos a month ago. That wasn't in my visualizations or manifestations. The idea of being some kind of spiritual teacher online was not a part of the equation at all. But practicing being in a state of peace and just listening to the ideas, the intuitions, the thoughts that appeal to me from that state of peace eventually led me to the idea of, I should start this channel. That for some reason seems like a good idea. That seems appealing. All right. And so life becomes a surprise. You don't know how life is going to unravel. But what I am confident about is that it will be a spectacular life, because it will be a life that very, 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 very few people ever experience, because very few people live from this place of prioritizing being at peace consistently, day in, day out. I mean, God, fuck, man, what is your life going to look like in 30 years of this? Because again, remember, whomever has, to him more will be given. Life is not static. It will continue to turn over and evolve like a plant blossoming or growing from being a seed into a beautiful flower or a majestic, strong tree. It just, over time, it becomes more complex and nuanced and interesting. And so your life, when 40 years from now, 30 years from now, 10 years from now, it's going to be better than anything you could actually even imagine today. And so I hope that helps.